right, it's Daniel here again, back again with our third episode of Flags and Fun. This time, um, we're going to be talking about a very well-known country. Um, um, has a bit of beef with the last country we had, France, at least historically. If you can't tell from that, I'm going to talk about England. Now, England has a very interesting kind of flag concept that goes on that I will get to at the end. Um, the Just pointing out beforehand, the history of flags is really hard to find because it's again old. Many different regions use different flags. What those flags mean, who they come from, are all different, and recorded history is not nearly as well organized as it is now. So. Um, Some of the dates will be a little off, and especially one big one, which I will explain at the end. So we start off with a even popularly used now flag for the region of Wessex is the flag of Wessex, which started from 1519 to 1927. This is probably the oldest flag I can find that relates to England, isn't exactly England, and isn't the Norwegian invaders and like Anglo-Saxons that came before um, England. So right here, you can't really see. There's no really good font that I could put. So it lasted. The Kingdom of Wessex lasted from 1519 to 1927. It was also known as the House of Cedric, the House of Wessex, the House of Cedric, because of a ruler, King Cedric, in the 6th century. This flag really doesn't have any much significance to it other than it was the first flag that came before the Kingdom of England, which was um, established by this guy right here, Aethelstan. So I guess this flag is really popular now because it represents this what isn't exactly a county in England. It's more of a region and a culture, which is still really popular and present. So it's really cool to see that 1,500 years later, 1,000 years later, it's still really symbolic, and this flag is still used. So next flag, as you can see, it skipped a big chunk of time because there really was no flag for the first Kingdom of England. So this is the Royal Standard of England. Um, so prior to Richard the First, so Richard the First is going to be the first king who actually reigned under this flag. So before him, this is the history of the flag. William the Conqueror, who was a really famous guy from France, who conquered massive area, including England, from France to England, um, created this royal standard with only two lions. We called it two lions passant gardant. That final thing, passant gardant, if that's how it's pronounced, I apologize if it's not, is basically just means it's like a royal symbolic bearing, like symbol, that lion. You can probably see that in a bunch of flags, like a lion and like shields and crosses, stuff like that. They're all really passant gardant, I guess. So this one showing Normandy in England, which is Normandy would be the northern region of France, and England being island of England. So then Richard the First added a third line for Aquitaine, which is a historic region south near the south of France, like right between Spain and France. Right there is that region. Um, yeah. So this lasted until 1307. Now the jump won't be again as nice, but again, there might be a good reason for that at the end. So the House of Tudor. Now the House of Tudor has a lot of really famous names. That's probably what they're most known for. They're this royal dynasty uh, for this long time period, 118 years. So really famous rulers: Henry VIII, Elizabeth I, most notable of them, um, who are well known by a lot of people for whether the stories they're in, their um, historic importance. One of those being that they created the strongest navy of its time for England, which plays a massive part in the imperialism that goes on later. So, like in the 1600s, where England would travel all around the world, most notably like the British East India Company, having control over all of India. Strong navy can let them do all that. United States, even as a colony. So, in 1603, so this time lines up really nice. This is the first Union Jack, which again lasted for 3 years, so it's not that important. But I just wanted to show it because it's kind of the first design of it, which also shows a more uh, spread apart of the Union Jack that's currently used. So it was created by King James VI of Scotland, who became King James the first of England when he gained the throne. Um, so it was used really temporarily because it was praised by a similar but not exactly recognizable design, the British Union flag, also known as Union Jack. So the difference between these two is you can see the Scottish flag in the left here, and in the right, and in the right, and the St. George's Cross in the left and right, which would be explained later. This one combines the two, so you can see that cross here and then the Scottish flag in the back. Um, so this flag lasted from 1606 to 1801, which was then replaced by a um, very similar flag, which simply has red lines here and there. Um, so as I said, it was created by putting St. George's Cross on the Scottish flag. Although it wasn't technically the national flag, which I'll again explain later, it became more and more popular until it was considered to be by many scholars who study it now. Again, this is called Union Jack, super um, well known for the flag of the United Kingdom, not of England, but of the United Kingdom, the Scotland, Ireland, what used to be, well, Ireland, what it used to be, and England. So now this is kind of where I tie all of that. Again, this is the end. So this is the flag of England. Now you'll be confused about 1417 to now. So this flag, also known as St. George's Cross, um, was a national flag, sailed in his navies, but England had so many regions and kingdoms that they all had many different flags, and especially because England became the United Kingdom and England colonized so many different places, there were so many different flags. But this one has been seen as, from that time period, this national flag that's lasted for 606 years. Um, so why it's called St. George's Cross, it was created by St. George, who was a saint crusader who created that signature crusader look, like with white garments and that red line going through the middle, and his shield has the symbol on it. That's that. So I found England really interesting because of all of the different flags that it shares at the same time. This national flag, um, and then also all of the houses and the different standards and ensigns and many different banners that are used during the time. And this flag, the Union Jack, I do really like because I don't think I've ever seen a flag that combines two to create it. And I had no clue that this was the English flag and the Scottish flag. I always just thought they really wanted red, white, and blue in it, and that's why they made it. So I thought that was super cool. So that's the end of our third episode of Funds and Flags. I'm Daniel, and I hope you have a wonderful day.